Hey y'all, my name is Madigan. I use she, her pronouns, and I work at the CSU Career Center. And today we're going to be talking about navigating your job search. I'll start by saying that if this is your first job search or first full-time job search, or even if you're looking for a summer internship or something, job searching can be hard. It can be, emotionally taxing. It can take time. And so the biggest kind of piece of advice I have overall is just to pace yourself with it, and create whatever structure and boundaries you need around your own job search. So when I graduated undergrad and was doing my first full-time job search, I sort of put it off entirely, or didn't think about it for a long time, and then tried to do it really rushed all at once. And I do not recommend that strategy to other people because it can feel really overwhelming and time pressuring to try to do that. So give yourself enough time to really be able to pace yourself through the job search process, because it does take time, it does take energy, and it can be exhausting at times. So just thinking, in the past about maybe previous jobs that you've held, or maybe you haven't had a previous job, but opportunities that you've, acquired over the course of your college career or before that, what were strategies that you used before? Some of these may work in a full-time job search, some may not, but a lot of folks will often share that they, maybe got the job through somebody that they knew, or they used some connections to find a job, or they, were looking for jobs weekly on job boards, that kind of thing. A lot of those same strategies will work in the full-time job search. So just think about kind of what strategies have you used in the past. So another just sort of big piece of advice for the job search, and I think where a lot of people maybe not make a mistake, but maybe put too much energy in one area in the job search, is just looking for jobs online, just those job postings, right? That's kind of the way that we've been taught to job search. We know that those jobs are available right now. So a lot of folks will just look for online postings, right, every single day or weekly. And absolutely, you want that to be part of your job search without a doubt. Have some good job boards on hand, maybe some that are specific to your industry or specific to your field. But you also want to use other strategies. The more strategies you're using at once, the more you're increasing your chances of finding and landing a really great opportunity. So for online job postings, definitely use Handshake. If a lot of folks are familiar with Handshake, if you're not, you are automatically have access to Handshake as a CSU student and can look for jobs posted on Handshake. That's a really great place to start, because those jobs are specifically designed for CSU students and recent graduates. Employers are specifically looking for you all. So that's a really great place to start. Don't feel confined to Handshake though. Certainly you can use sites like Google and LinkedIn. If you just search into Google, blank jobs in city, wherever you're looking for jobs, it'll pull up this blue tab and pull different postings from different recruiting sites. So feel free to use all of those, and or some ones that are specific to your industry. Aside from online postings though, there are a few other ways to look for jobs as well. One is networking and informational interviews. So actually thinking about who are those people that that you can get connected to or chat with, right, that are maybe in your field of interest. And if you don't have some of those people, how can you find them or start to create those relationships? And we'll talk about networking a little bit later. Career fairs and employer events. So these are a really great opportunity where, every semester we have the career fair. I never even went to a career fair when I was an undergrad student. I don't think I recognized how valuable it was to have a bunch of employers come to campus actively looking to recruit you, right? They want you in their business. And I think why it's such a fun way to job search too is that it really flips the script of, us feeling like we're reaching out to employers. Nobody's really like maybe hearing us, or, sometimes our applications are just getting non-responses, versus an employer coming to you saying, I want to recruit you, come work for our company, right? So absolutely taking advantage of the career fairs and employer events that we have all semester long. Professional associations and conferences. So almost every industry has some professional association connected to it, and you can just search professional associations for, whatever your field of interest is. But those are just groups of people that are all in the same field as you, interested in the same stuff, maybe also looking for jobs. And so getting connected with that group can be a really great way to find opportunities across a field. Sometimes those incur costs, not always, but that's, relevant to know that if you did want to join a professional association and there was a cost afforded with that, and that was going to be financially burdensome, the Career Center does have funds to afford students for that type of thing. So I can show you on the website, and I'll make a note to do that, where to find our funds page if you're needing some financial support with professional associations, going to conferences, that type of thing. And then just connecting with companies in your field that you want to work for. So actually identifying some companies directly that you're really interested in can be a great strategy, as opposed to just looking for postings generally. Identifying the companies, finding people that work at that company or who have worked at that company, going to that company's events, right? That can be a really targeted approach to a job search as well. So you certainly don't have to use all 5 of these, but see if there's maybe 2 or 3 that stand out to you as potentially being useful, and try to diversify how you're looking for jobs when you are looking. So the other thing, like I said, when I was looking for jobs after undergrad, I sort of just put it off entirely and then tried to do it like all in a week, and it was totally overwhelming. And so time is on your side. And if you're getting a late start, that's okay. Like I said, I did it and everything, worked out okay, but people have different timelines, for different reasons. That you might need a job the day after you graduate for financial reasons, or you might have a little bit of a cushion. So do a little bit of backtracking from your graduation date, and start thinking about job stuff at least 4 to 6 months in advance of that day where you need a job by that day. Because on average, that can be about how long it takes for folks to find work. So use your calendar, right? How early will you start? Maybe you set a day that you're like, I'm going to start looking for jobs, or at least, working on getting my resume together, making an appointment with the Career Center by this day. And again, I would backtrack from when you feel like you definitely need to have a job secured by. How frequently will you dedicate time to this? So unlike schoolwork, right, the job search doesn't have specific deadlines along the way. So you have to create some of those self-imposed deadlines to avoid doing what I did. So it might be that you have a weekly goal. I want to dedicate 2 hours per week to my job search, right? Or to something related to my job search, including getting my application materials reviewed or something like that. And then thinking about which strategies are going to be most useful for you, right? If you have a lot of mentors in the field already, set up some time with them, ask them for their advice, their feedback. If there's anyone else that they could get you connected to, right? If you feel like a professional associations are the best way, or you're already connected to one, right? Like lean into those things that you're already connected to and really think through what strategies are going to be most useful for you in the job search. And like I said, estimate multiple months. Sometimes folks get lucky and land the first job that they apply to, but it's really not uncommon for it to take many months to find a job. And it's also very common to experience rejection and non-response in the job search process. I know during my first search, I got rejected so many times, I can't even tell you, to the point where I really started to feel like, am I doing something wrong? Am I less qualified than I thought I was? And none of that stuff was true, right? It's just a natural part of the job search process that you likely will experience rejection, and also some non-response where companies, organizations may not get back to you at all. So know that that's all just a part of the process. Lots of folks go through that, and sticking with it is sometimes the hardest part, right? Just continuing to stick to that timeline that you set, those goals that you had set over time of, dedicating a certain number of hours per week. Maybe you have that time even scheduled on like Friday morning, I'm going to spend 2 hours working on it. But I think that structure and organization, it can be really, really helpful for a process that, is essentially internally driven, right? No external deadlines, the way that we have been used to, being in school and that type of thing. So networking was one of the things that I talked about as a job search strategy. And I want to sort of break down the idea of networking. A lot of folks think of networking as, going to a formal networking event and you're dressed up in like a suit or something and you're kind of approaching people. That kind of networking event sounds terrible to me. right? Like if you're a little bit more introverted or just don't prefer that type of environment, that's totally fine. Networking does not have to look like that. It doesn't have to be super professional, right? It doesn't have to be a networking event. Networking is simply just making connections with other people. It's people that you already know. You've probably already been networking your entire life. You have classmates that you've been networking with. You have professors, you have mentors, if you have any supervisors, right? Like those are folks that you are already connected with. It's building relationships, it's being in community with other people. All of that stuff is networking. And I think we have this sort of hyper-professional idea of what networking has to be. So know that you already have a network and you can work on expanding that network for, the process of finding more job opportunities and being better set up in the job search process. So statistically, you are almost 10 times more likely to find a job through a connection than through a cold application. A cold application would be something like applying online where they don't have any idea who you are before you send in the application, right? You're just kind of like a name on a resume versus them already knowing you through some level of connection, or you having, worked or volunteered with them previously. That can really, really increase your chances of finding and landing a job. This is why we say that a lot of like internship experiences in college can turn into full-time positions, because if you have a positive internship experience and your organization is already familiar with your work and they trust you, they're much more likely to be able to offer you full-time work. And then 42% of jobs are filled without a trace of a job ad. This just means that a lot of jobs are created like maybe for specific people, or they're hiring internally, or they're really heavily relying on networking and connections to fill those jobs rather than posting them widely. So yeah, if you've heard of networking before, right, maybe folks have said like, oh, it's about who you know, not what you know. I don't think those things are entirely true, but it is really, really important. So how do companies hire? This is kind of how we wish that they hire. We wish that we could send them our resume, right, and they'd hire us. Maybe we'll look at online postings. Maybe we'll work with recruiters, like folks that come to campus for career fairs. Maybe then try some networking, and then finally inside the company. And the employer's ideal for hiring is first inside the company, right, with someone that they're already familiar with, potentially a previous intern. Then through networking, people that they know and trust. Then maybe they'll work with recruiters, online postings, and then resume. So as you can see, how we wish that employers hired is actually opposite from how employers prefer to hire. This is called the open market versus the hidden market. So the open market are those positions that are posted and are truly available to anyone, versus the hidden market is those positions that might not be posted at all because they already have an idea of who they want to hire, or they're just posting it out, they're posting it online, but they already have an idea. So it could be that they don't post it at all because they already know who they want to hire, or they're posting it, but they already have some people in mind that they maybe have met. So I'll also just say about networking, it's not a fair practice of hiring at all, right? It actually has some really inequitable outcomes in terms of who people tend to already know and associate with, right? People hiring their friends, their golf buddies, can be really gross and feel really gross to hire through networking. And I hope that it's not a super long-term strategy, or that folks start to sort of recognize some of the problems with networking. But I think it's important for you all to know that it still is a really primary way of getting hired. And so building that community, that career community around you, those mentors around you that can connect you with other people, it's really, really valuable, like not to be undervalued at all. So think about those people that you already know, right? That entire CSU community that's already behind you. And then like, who in that community can you ask to get connected with other people, or who could you tap into and ask some questions to? And then if you're wanting to get connected to some more people, right, you're like maybe thinking, maybe I don't have much of a network, or I have mentors, but they're not really in the field that I'm interested in, and I want to get connected more to my field. The LinkedIn alumni tool is really useful for finding links or finding CSU alumni and where alumni are working. And you can, right, LinkedIn is for connecting with other people. So if you just go to linkedin.com, just search Colorado State University, the organization itself. click on the alumni tab, and then search whatever keyword, right? Whatever industry you're looking at. And it'll show you where they live, where they work, what they do. And you can kind of just look through people's public resumes, right? See where people have worked, what CSU graduates are doing now. And then if you wanted to get connected with someone, you could either connect with them directly on LinkedIn, see if you can find their current company email address, and really just send them a message saying, hey, I'm a current CSU student. I'm, really interested in going into this field that you work in. I saw you work at this company. I'm really interested in that. I was wondering if you're really willing to chat with me about it. So this process is what we would call informational interviewing, which is just interviewing someone for information. And this is a really great way to get connected with someone that you're not currently connected to without asking too much of them, right? You're not asking them to help you find a job. You're just asking for them to share their experience with you, their advice, their expertise with you. And for a lot of people, it's actually really flattering to get asked to share about their current career path and their experience. So if you want to expand your network, informational interviewing, I think, is a great strategy to do this. You might have also heard of these as called career conversations, but it's really just, asking for 15 to 30 minutes of someone's time or however much they're willing to give you, and just asking for information, right? You're never asking for a job, just wanting to know about their experience. So you can ask about their career path and their current role, what do they like, how did they get there? And I'll have actually a slide full of just some sample informational interviewing questions you could ask. But this is really just for you to show interest in them and their path and their values, for you to listen, and more than you talk, because it's to develop a relationship. And then I would say, come into an informational interview prepared, be the person that is willing to set up the time or send the Zoom link or whatever, needs to happen there. And then come with some questions ready to go, written out, right? You're welcome to stray from those and see wherever the conversation takes you, but definitely go into it prepared. And then the magic question that I always recommend people ask at the end of any informational interview is there anyone else you'd recommend I get in contact with, right? Because that's how you can kind of spider web your network. You might have just one mentor in the field of interest, but that mentor might know 8 people in that same field, right, that they can get you connected with. So great question to ask at the end of any informational interview. Lastly, always send a thank you, right? It can be a couple of days after via email, just saying thanks so much for your time. Maybe this is specifically how it helped or what I did afterward, to let people know that they were helpful for you. Great way to get connected to more people in your field. So feel free to take a screenshot of this, or just a picture of it if you want to ask any of these questions. I won't spend time reading through these, but the Career Center does have some resources on informational interviewing if you wanted to know more about it. Okay, and then the last thing about networking, just think of networking like asking for directions. People have been exactly where you are, right? Folks in your field, they were once graduating college, looking for jobs of their own, going through their first job search, and they want to help you, right? In the same way that you might want to help somebody younger than you that wants to get to where you are now, right? I often ask people, if someone from your high school or someone who is distantly connected to you were to ask, I'd really love to know about CSU because I'm applying to colleges and your experience with the department or program that you were part of. Would you be willing to, talk to that person about your experience at CSU? And vast majority of people say, yes, I would. And so I always tell folks, people are just as willing to help you as you are willing to help other people. So ask for help along the way, tap into those mentors, ask them if they know other folks, get connected to professional associations. Don't be afraid to ask for help, truly. There are lots of folks on this campus that want to help you. And I tell people, especially with encouraging folks to go to professors' office hours and that kind of thing, like people work in education because they want to help other people. So by you asking for help and asking for advice, you're just letting people live out the reason that they entered education in the first place. So I know it sometimes can feel like you're burdening someone to ask for their time or, expertise or advice, but you aren't. I promise that the vast majority of folks I know in education really, really enjoy helping students, and that's why we are here. So some last minute tips and tricks, and I was going to try to keep this around 20 minutes. So we'll see how I did on that. But last minute tips and tricks for your job search. first, save the job description. I was just talking to someone this morning actually about organizing a job search in terms of like having a folder on your desktop called job search, creating little subfolders within it for every job you apply to. So maybe it's like the name of the organization. And then within that folder, you have the specific resume that you sent, the specific cover letter that you sent, and the job description. And the reason I say to save the job description is because if it's posted online, they might actually take that job description down. And then if you're applying to lots of things at once, you know, if you don't have access to the job description, you might forget what the job is about. So don't put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. I have actually interviewed for a job that I lost the job description for. I do not recommend it. It was very uncomfortable. So save that job description, just, you know, highlight the words, put them in a Word doc and save it in that folder. And that'll help you feel really organized in your job search. And you'll know that you have all the information you need about any job that you've applied to. Tailor your resume to every single job you apply to. So again, I generally recommend folks to have a master resume that's kind of everything they've ever done. And then target resumes, you know, they're really targeted towards specific industries. And then beyond that, every single time you apply to a specific job, you can even tweak your resume a little bit further by using specific words and phrases from the job description. It's becoming more and more common for employers to use scanning software to look at resumes, where the scanning software is actually looking for specific keywords that they've named in the job description. The job description is the study guide to the exam. They're telling you exactly what they want to hear from you. So use that to your advantage. And you can always come into the Career Center to have folks look over your resume as well. Google yourself, because 80% of employers will. This doesn't mean that there are rules about what you can and can't have posted online. Just make sure that you know what employers have access to about you and that you're comfortable with what they have access to. Conserve your energy and pace yourself. So this is what I started with, and it's what I'll end with, right? It is time consuming. It's hard. Having mentors and, you know, talking to people throughout the process is not just for the fact that it's so helpful in finding work, but also just that it really helps to have a community of people around you when you're job searching, because it can feel isolating and overwhelming. So conserve your energy and pace yourself. And then lastly, don't accept a job offer on the spot. You know, absolutely say thank you and ask for some time to consider, and then negotiate when appropriate. No one even talked to me about salary negotiation in college, and it's something I feel really passionately about now. So know that the Career Center is also a place where you can talk about salary negotiation or negotiating benefits or negotiating start date or moving costs or that kind of thing. But absolutely, once you have a job offer, you have some leverage and some room to have conversations with an employer. So that's all I got about job searching. Absolutely, if you have more questions about job searching or want to create a job search plan that's a little bit more individualized to you and your timeline and your industry, come see us. You know, you are already paying for the service of the Career Center, so please use us as a resource. We are located in the Laurie Student Center. If you haven't been before, in the basement, right next to the student media and the Ramskeller. But you can also schedule with us online. I do Zoom appointments all the time, so absolutely can see folks online as well. So aside from job search planning, the Career Center can help you with lots of different types of things, and I won't read through these, but know that, you know, folks often think of us as kind of like the resume workshop place, but we can talk about preparing for graduate school, right? The negotiation stuff, exploring career options. If you're still trying to decide what you want to do, you're not alone. Lots and lots of people, you know, are still exploring options and continue exploring even after college. So come talk to us about anything that you're thinking about related to your career. We have drop-ins available every day of the work week, 10 to 2 p.m. You can physically come into our space and just say, I want to meet with someone right now, and I can get you set up with a 15 to 20-minute appointment. Or you can make an appointment with a full-time staff member, scheduling through Handshake, just stopping by the Career Center or calling to schedule an appointment. And you can always email me directly too. So I put my email up on the screen. It's supposed to say EDU. Sorry, that got cut off at the end. But please let me know if you have any follow-up questions. The first job search is a hard one. So get that community of people around you. I would love to be one of those people to support you in the job search. So, you know, please feel free to set up an appointment with me if you think that would be helpful for you. And good luck. Good luck to you all.